Hey, y'all, and welcome to another edition of the Unscripted Huddle, brought to you by the National Football Alliance. The NFA's purpose is to honor, improve, and advance the sport of tackle football. If you're the parent, coach, or administrator of a youth or high school player, you're in the right place. We aim to deliver an authentic voice regarding performance, safety, and the medical truth to support you and your players. My name is John Reagan. With me is Joe Rafter. Let's kick it off. Welcome back to the Unscripted Huddle, presented to you by the National Football Alliance. I am John Reagan, and I am excited tonight. You can hear the energy rolling already. We've got a guest in the house. I'm going to let my friend Joe introduce him, but we have a guest in the house that knows all of the skeletons when it comes to the real Joe Rafter. But welcome back. Hey, we're excited to be here to help to honor, improve, and advance the game of tackle football. And Joe, I'll let you take it and introduce our guest.
John, thanks for that. Yeah, before I get to our guest, Coach, John, your tan is still as bronze as you were last time we talked. What's going on?
I will keep doing my best. I worked hard to get that. My first 7-day vacation, as I mentioned last time, with my kids. I decided that I needed to. That was a really good time period, and that I needed to keep the skin color. Makes me feel good, talk good, podcast good. Let's go. So I decided to find a little more sun.
Good for you, man. You look good. Stand tan and ready to go.
Let's
All
go.
Right, good. So I am, for our guests, I'm. This show is a special show, and I know sometimes we say this is a special show, but this one's particularly special because Coach Gut from Catholic University joins us, and Coach, as John was alluding to, Coach and I played together, graduated together, lived in the same building together, went head-to-head together back in the day. So it's great to have you. Coach, welcome to the Unscripted Huddle.
Oh, man, Joe, thank you so much. This is awesome. John, great to talk to you as well.
Yeah, appreciate having you.
Yeah, this is so, you think about what it was like when you played with somebody, and then you go through life and you're at a different point, and you come back and it's like, hey, remember about that? And I'm so excited. We've already let a few of those get out already, but it's so awesome to sit here and get to talk with you a little bit about football, and then hopefully we can, keep talking about what has football helped us both with,
Right on.
I think that's a big question.
Right on. So, John, I know the place. I was with Coach 2 weeks ago, last Sunday, helping to coach. There was a camp the coach was hosting at Catholic University in Washington, D.C. He was gracious enough to let me on the field. I actually was coaching the offensive line, John. You'll be really proud, really proud. And I got good feedback.
I hope you just had one-time campers coming in, Coach.
I got great feedback. I know I'm more of so I head coach a high school team, which I take a lot of pride in. Got a lot of experience in youth. John likes to give me a hard time about my coaching skills, which I'm starting to get a little hair on the back of my neck standing up a little bit. I'm making more out of it than it really is. Anyway, it was so great to be back on that field, Coach. So I know the office he's sitting in. We talked a while ago. Coach, give us a little bit of a intro. Give us a background. Like, tell us about your football journey from your playing days up into the seat that you're in now. How'd you get there?
Yeah, and it's I'm a Catholic U alum where I'm head coach now, and going to classes here. I thought I was majoring in politics and studying international relations and getting ready to go, and a couple things happened while I was here. The Soviet Union went away and then came Russia, and some other things happened. And then doing the football side of things, getting into senior year, I had a good start to the year as far as training camp and all that. But then in the first quarter of our first game, I broke my ankle, and I was done, And so I'm put on the sideline. I actually had to sit for a while because I couldn't stand on it. But they put me in the press box to keep me around. And when I went up to the press box and looked and saw things and could help answer, and I was talking to the coach who had the headset on, and he's like, pushing me away. And then he listened to what I was saying. He's like, hey, wait, here, you take them. And he put the headset on me. And that's when I realized this is way better than talking about politics. Right. This is football. And so I started that, coached at Catholic U for a little bit. Then I thought, maybe I wanted to do some high school teaching while I do it, and I went to Georgetown Prep for a little bit, which was a great football program there at the time, and I thought, no, this isn't it. So I went back into college coaching and was around the country, and went to St. Norbert College in Wisconsin, University of Laverne in Southern California, Wingate University in North Carolina, Concord University in Southern West Virginia, and then went to Lindsey Wilson College when they started football up, and we were in the playoffs after 5 years of starting a program that didn't exist. And in the funny thing is I had coached with a lot of guys and had helped them find jobs, and I was like, man, why am I not in Division I? Why am I not because I was kind of moving up a little bit. And then the Catholic U job opened to be head coach back where I'd played and where I'd learned, and I thought, this is what I need to try for. And I shot both shots here to get it, and it worked out well. And I landed back here, and one of the people that I can't believe stuck with me was my wife, because I moved her 6 times around the country. But I had met her when we were in DC, and so it worked out for both of us to get back to this place to get back into where I had played and learned, and it felt great to get back here. It's a different phase. But man, I love the asset that I have of being a coach at a place where I played.
Right on. John, Coach and I both played for Coach Fred O'Connor. Coach O'Connor coached Walter Payton, coached in the NFL a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the pleasure of seeing him for dinner a couple weeks ago in Florida when I was down visiting my parents. And to see things come full circle is just, it's a true gift. And I can only, Coach, it's funny you say you coach at St. Norbert's. So I'm coaching back at Archmere Academy in Wilmington, Delaware, where I went, which is a Norbertine school.
Right.
So
which is not, there's not a bunch of them out there.
No, there's
yeah.
There's a bunch of LaSalle and a bunch of Augustinians, but the Norberts are getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. So, Coach, thanks for that. John, how about second down?
I think that we're going to try something new here, right?
We're going to try something new. All right, so
all right.
Here's the game. So I'm going to give you a topic, and you're going to say touchdown, meaning you like it, and why. You're going to say timeout, meaning I don't know. I'm not sure about this. I need some time to think about it. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. And then flag. Penalty flag. Means that's foul. I don't like it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to go back and forth to both of you. Coach Gut, I'm going to start with you first.
Okay.
Touchdown, timeout, penalty flag. Right. First
I'm going to
topic.
say this too, Coach Gut, around here. You can have an initial reaction, and you might talk yourself out of the reaction along the way, and that's okay. And I'm saying it's okay because I'm 100% sure I will do that at least once.
Listen, I understand that on 3rd and 1, I come up with a great idea, and then
no doubt.
Let's not do that again.
It seemed like such a good idea at the time.
It's the comic that I saw the other day, and I don't know what I saw it on, where it's a man grabbing his dog's mouth and holding it closed, and it said it's the head coach. This is the head coach with the offensive line coach on 3rd and 1 when the coordinator wants to throw the ball.
No, that's good.
Got it. So,
all right, good. All right. Touchdown.
All right, Joe. What do you got for
timeout,
us?
penalty flag. First topic.
All right.
The transfer portal in college.
That's a timeout. That's a timeout.
Okay.
A year ago, I would have said, flag on that, and maybe a year and a half ago. But now, you get into it and looking at it. I don't want to lose our guys. That's the hard part. But the good part is there's a lot of guys out there that are trying to find the spot, and you go through the early football process and recruiting, and you land at a place where you think this is it for me, and maybe it's not. And then when you have a chance to look somewhere else, I think it's an exciting, heavy place to be. And it's not, it's in Division III as well. It's all the divisions that it's in here. And I think, it's something that we have to be excited about, but at the same time, it goes back to the timeout. I don't think it's a TD yet for me, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something I'm
Coach,
interested in
what,
learning
what do
more.
you think with that? I'm going to ask a question along those lines,
Yeah.
but how has, and specific to you, because we talk about the 10,000-foot view all the time, but specific to you at Catholic U, how has it affected your recruiting policy or maybe your recruiting um, uh, plan as it relates to high school kids?
Oh man. Well, we're we want high school kids. We want them, and I think we will keep them. When high school guys come to this place, they so far they're like, man, this is it for me. Let's get after it. But in the last 2 years, we've opened it up more to folks that have landed somewhere else, and there's been some DC people that have come back. There's been some across the country people that are looking at us. It's a little different, but I think especially in this division, you want to start with ones that are coming out of high school and need to see what step is next. With that being said, I you know when if I have a really good player who's coming to Catholic U to get his graduate degree and he's got a year to play, I want to talk to him about it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But it
John,
sounds like you've still been in a developmental where we want the high school kids and we want to bring them into our program, and because what we see across the country, honestly, is that it is affecting the number of high school kids that are being
Yeah.
recruited. Certainly at some of the upper levels where they can utilize that. So sorry, Joe, I cut you off there.
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. So John, touchdown, timeout, or penalty flag?
Yeah, I guess truly, I mean, the definition would be timeout because I'm on both ends of this, but I'm going to say the concept of the transfer portal is a touchdown. It's much needed. I do believe that the regulations that were in place when I played up until, I don't know, 2018, maybe the portal opened. 19, I can't remember, one of those years. 18, yeah, one of those. I think the idea that a young man had to make the best decision that he could make about his entire career or lose a year of eligibility when he was 18 years old, that's tough. I really do believe that that's tough. So I like the concept. The implementation of it, the fact that it's open 2 times a year, the fact that there's no regulation really to it because, in my opinion, the NCAA doesn't want to get involved in any more lawsuits. That's a flag. I mean, it's hard to say, hey, let's go back to the Wild West and let players do whatever they want to do as many times a year as they want to, and then let's add on to it if a coach decides to leave. That here's another reason. And again, not that any of the reasons are wrong. I think the implementation has really been poor. It's really disturbed programs, made it difficult for both coaches and players, made it difficult, in my opinion, for the lessons that we're teaching players about, sacrifice and working through hard times and developing and those kinds of things as well. So hopefully there'll be some things that bring that in. I think we may be talking about some of those things here even tonight in this segment. So
Right on. Good deal.
And I
All
hope
right.
I'm not breaking the rules here by trying to. But something else with that is, I think Division 3 probably has a higher level of some guys because the higher you go, there's guys just switching teams and bouncing around, and some guys aren't getting recruited to go FCS or FBS or Division 2 because the who's getting brought in is someone from across the
right.
conference or something like that. And so I feel good about some guys that we've had committed that 10 years ago, they would not have been open to this position because they would have had something else cooking.
Good.
So I'll throw my 2 cents into this because I'm the furthest from this. Of the three of us, I'm the furthest removed from this scenario. And my perspective as a Catholic U alum, my perspective is, in terms of the team's performance and ability to compete and attract talent, I can see the transfer portal as an attractive technique, channel, opportunity to juice the program with, some talent when it comes, right? When it makes sense. At the same time, I love the fact, Coach, that you're saying, hey, look, we're high school first. We want to recruit guys. We want them to stay here. As a football guy, I love that. So I can see that kind of a Division 3 perspective. I mean, and as compared to a Division I perspective, where I don't care about your loyalty, I don't care about your commitment to development. I care about winning. This is my perception of Division I, which I could be completely wrong. And I'm talking about the top of Division I, right? The teams we watch every Saturday that's on national TV every weekend, right? Those teams, I think, are going to be more focused on winning and risking other collateral damage because they just want to get the best talent. I could be totally wrong about that, right? But my outside perspective of the college game is along those lines. So I would think Division I would be more likely to use that as a heavier channel for recruitment, whereas Division III, programs like Catholic U, and there's other programs in Division III that are probably going to pull down as much as they can on that because they're aspiring to just compete. But that Catholic U football team, as an alumni, as a former player, and knowing you as a former teammate, like the things that you're doing at that school for those boys, there's a balance there, I think, that creates value for the school and the player and those kids who decide that they want to opt in to transfer into Catholic.
Right on. All right, I'm going to jump into the second concept here and going to make it very specific. So touchdown, timeout, or flag, Coach Gut, on compensation for true name, image, and likeness. So the concept of name, image, and likeness, not necessarily how it was implemented off the bat.
I'm a flag on that one. I'm a flag, and here's why I'm a flag, because you go back to players that were punished for selling their T-shirts that they had, that they were given by the program, and they go out and do that, and then they're punished for getting the money when, now you can do a lot of different things and get paid for it. And it's, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to be taking pictures of myself eating burgers at the corner store, or are you really doing something kind of crazy to get that, to work for you? I'm not saying we have to end it. I'm just mad at the way it came in. So that's what makes me, I think if we'd had a plan to let guys earn something for being a good football player, and two, being someone who can learn how to sell themselves a little bit. I think that was out there, but that was not allowed by the NCAA in any way, fashion. And now you look at what we've got, and it's more wide open than you could even, point at.
John, what's your answer?
No, you're next. I brought it up. You got to go second.
So number one, I didn't expect to participate in this segment of the session.
I'll let you.
I'm kidding.
Wait,
no, I'll get out there. I gotta say, I think I'm a touchdown, and in the concept, the implementation, and the lack of structure and discipline and rigor around how the NILs come in and other things, including the portal, I have a problem with. But the concept of NIL and giving kids the opportunity, what Coach Gut was referring to, a chance to make, to do things, to promote themselves, to attach themselves to the crazy revenue streams that are happening. And here's the other thing. I mean, NIL is not doing a lot at a lot of schools. It's doing a lot at big schools, right? And so giving a kid an opportunity to tap into that, I think is the right direction for the sport. However, I think the way it's played out has been it needs more bumpers, more guidelines, more of a clear path. Like, this is okay, and anything outside of this is not.
Yeah, I do think I will say again, I'm going to go touchdown and flag both on this one. So I guess that puts it in the timeout.
What kind of game are you calling here, John? This is like chaos. A touchdown
absolutely.
And a flag?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a dead ball foul, and so the touchdown stands, but we're going to throw the flag and we're going to complain and we're going to call the kid out at the same time. I think should Jimmy Jones and Jeffrey Brown be allowed to make something off of the fact that they're very good players and their jerseys are being sold and those are making money for the universities? I mean, I believe that's just right? I mean, to some degree, there's you look at it throughout sports, and I know it's not professional sports, but throughout sports, and those guys are getting something from it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that equates to $2 million for a quarterback because he's a quarterback? I'm not sure if that's the case, but so again, I think in its infinite wisdom, said with no sarcasm at all, the NCAA kind of failed in this whole implementation. So I think there's issues there, and I think I'm hoping that maybe and again, we're not going to get all the way into the new ruling that just came out, but I'm hoping that with the House settlement, some of that will be brought back in and maybe regulated a little. Well, it's going to be regulated. Anything over $600 is going to be regulated by Deloitte and their GoNIL regulation ways. But I hope that it, for the schools that end up having to live through the NIL world versus the next topic world, I hope that it does provide that a little bit, at least, of regulation and guidance and not necessarily quality, but at least some level of playing field.
Right on. All right. So third topic, John. I'm gonna riff. Here comes a curveball.
Oh, good, because if it was the one it was in, I was going to get myself set up.
It's a related curveball. So,
okay.
So, touchdown, timeout, penalty flag. How Tennessee handled the quarterback who wanted to get paid more for his, I forget the guy's name, the kid's name. He's at UCLA
Hawaiian
now.
kid who's at UCLA.
The Hawaiian kid said, I'm not playing because I want more money. And Tennessee said, thanks, but no thanks. You're not at spring ball. You've made this choice. You can go play somewhere else. Touchdown, timeout by Nebraska. Sorry, not Nebraska. Tennessee. Tennessee's point of view. Touchdown, timeout, penalty flag.
Touchdown.
Jump ball. Go.
Touchdown.
You go first, John.
No penalty. Sorry. Touchdown. Unequivocally, in my opinion. I think finally got a coach. Coach Heupel stepped up, and certainly not by himself, but the direction of his program and as the face of his program, saying, listen, this is not about one person. It never has been. It never will be. The program's bigger than that. There's who knows how many reasons behind the real reasons why he didn't get paid that, or
right.
why he wanted to get paid that, and whether it was him or the people around him, his posse, whatever it was. But kudos and touchdown to Coach Heupel and University of Tennessee for standing behind him in that decision to say enough is enough. I've got 100 and however many other players to think about. This one is not going to break all the concepts and the pillars that we have in our program.
Right on, John. Coach Gut.
Yeah, I think the coach side of me is that's a touchdown. The coaches have to be able to say, no, it's not. That's more than we're doing, and I think that's a big thing to do. And then talk about it, and to be able to answer a couple questions was big too. But man, I think the dad side of me is like, what? That's not fair. And then I'm like, that's why when I go to work, it's a different, the dad side is my kids didn't play for me in college. So, but yeah, I think that's a win because you can't, I don't know. I look, my fear is that at a Division III school, we're going to have to start telling guys, yeah, I'm going to give you 10 coupons to McDonald's or you can come here. It's obviously not the same amount as right. that level, but where's the cutoff? And it has to be up to the coach. And I think that is a big call. Now, I could be off base here. It could come back and haunt them. I don't know. But for me, I was like, yeah, right on.
Right on. Yeah, I think I was happy to see Tennessee take the position that they did. And I face it in my corporate world all the time.
I'm sure.
This scenario is not isolated to football or to college or any of that. People come in and say, hey, I want to get paid more. I go, okay, for what? Like, let's have that conversation. And there are times where you go, okay, let's find a way forward on this. And there are times where you say, I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to do that. And I think so many of these conversations, at least the ones that are in the media that are advertising getting airtime. So many of them have shown, I think, again, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like a lot of them are just programs saying, okay, I'll pay you. And it feels like this is the first time where a football program took a stand and said, sorry, but not this time for these reasons. And I was encouraged to see a school stand up for the things that it did in Tennessee. All right, very good. Third down.
Yeah, time to move.
Third down.
I'll jump into this one, and Coach Gut, going back at you here now. I know that one of the things that as a coach, it was always, especially as an O-line guy for me, I was always trying to balance the quality of the player with the fit in the room. And so I think one of the things that we talk about all the time, and we, especially as coaches in general, is that is it the talent? Is it the cultural fit? Is it both? But so you can talk generally if you'd like to about is it talent or cultural fit, but more specifically as well to Catholic U football. How do you approach that? Because it happens probably on every player that you recruit.
Yeah, it does. I think, we start probably on the talent of just like with all the video that's available now and you watch, you're like, oh man, we got to talk to this guy. But I think as you look at bringing someone into your program that you're going to want to play 4 seasons, in Division III, it's still 4. It's a level of what, how are you going to rate them? How do you think they're going to help build the team? How are they going to produce? And you start with, I think, with what they've done in high school and how they're doing and what their body's like and what are they. But honestly, I have to make sure that they can handle the academics here. And it's hard. Yeah, I can't go recruit some guys that are here for a semester and then gone because they blow it or something. Don't get me wrong, that's probably happened a couple of times.
Sure.
But it's a process of like, what does this guy want to do? And I think what I've become even more into this point is that I want guys that are willing to say, I am second, the team is first. And when you find guys that are like that, you can see how they just push and get better and want it. And even when they're, that's a guy who breaks the rule or does the rules, he's gonna get in trouble. But it's used when a guy goes out and he breaks the record at the university in running the ball. What does that guy want? And if he's got the attitude of like, yeah, that was me, as opposed to, oh, let me talk about how great the O-line was today. Those kind of things. That's what I'm like, now we're getting somewhere. So it's kind of round out way of saying, I want the guys that come here to support Catholic University and the football program and to get a great education and to win. And I think if they come here just to say, well, regardless of win or lose, I want to get I'm on defense. I want to get 12 tackles a game, regardless. And I'm like, regardless, you're probably not going to play. On offense of like, man, coach, why didn't you have me in on that play? I should have done all this. And sometimes the coach will be like, yeah, I probably, did. But a lot of times it's like, well, here's why, son. And I'm old enough now that the sun comes out occasionally, but I try not to do it. But, that's where it is. It's like, and again, it goes back to, I think that I'm second, the team is first. We are the Catholic University of America. That fits in some other parts of their lives too. I am second, God is first. And I've hit the point of I am second, my wife is first, the marriage is first. Like that's things that you can learn. And I think football helps you learn about that bigger picture, but only if you do it right.
Right on. John, just to bear witness to Coach's comments on the field last Sunday at that clinic, at that camp, said the exact same thing. When you come to play football here at Catholic, team's first, I'm second. God's first, you're second. So just to like, Coach, I love that you shared that. Second interesting topic, interesting comment or insight to what he just said, John. Did you know, file this under the did you know at Catholic University, that Coach Gut was present for both of the most recent rushing yard record holders at Catholic University.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool. Was it last year, Coach?
Yeah.
Who broke it last year?
It was Daquan Heron, and Daquan was he was a transfer who came back. He's from a DC guy, and he had gone off to other schools. I won't say their names, but he came back here, and he ran the ball at a level that was fantastic. And I think for a while I was totally sold on let's throw the ball 67 times a game, and we'll run the ball when we're in the lead so we can chew the clock. Now I'm like, let's hand the ball to the good kid behind the big kid and let's go get it.
Let's go. Let's go. So Daquan had the single game rushing record, right, Coach? Like 238.
I can't remember if it was 242 or 220. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it was something. And he got there were some tweets from guys who've done a great job here at Catholic, saying right on, And I think we're kind of, the days of our quarterbacks throwing for 370 yards every game or more. We still love to do that, but I think, if you do that and you only run the ball for 25, you're not really having a great offense. So I think,
especially if Daquan's still sitting back there,
totally.
Yeah, no,
John,
unless you're throwing it to him 75 times.
The previous record holder was a guy who Coach and I played with by the name of Robbie Narr. That was our sophomore year, I believe, Coach.
Yeah, that's right.
That was 1989.
89.
And Coach was an offensive lineman in that team, and so I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the Catholic players out there that, Coach Gut's been present for both of those records.
Well deserved.
Now on both of those, though, I was standing on the sideline because in '89 I was not the starter.
All right, should we go with fourth down?
I think we're there, and I'll let you take that one, Joe.
All right, Coach. So fourth down is normally like something, we call it the X factor, something that's kind of random about our lives or about the game. And one of the things on several podcasts that we've talked about is this subject. I've said, and I think John agrees, but I won't speak for him. But football teaches many different values, many different characteristics of a young man or of a player, and one of them, the greatest in my mind, I think is, or the one that's most common, is overcoming adversity. That's the thing I learned from football more than anything else. When I look at my life, anytime I'm faced with adversity, my mind goes back to the football games. My mind goes back to some of the practices we had on that field together, and Coach Osbrooks and Coach O'Connor, getting after us, right? And just like hard times. In your mind, in your opinion, what's the characteristic or the value that you think football teaches more than anything else?
Wow. Yeah. And I've kind of tapped on it a couple of times. And even I think you asking the question that hit a side of it that's really that is football to me. And the more that you play, I think as college especially, it's a sport that is the reduced size of what the rest of your life will come to you as. And what do I mean by that? I think people understand. People who've played get it. It's that you don't know which way that game's going to go, but you better work hard, be prepared, get after it, work with other people, and be ready to do some team stuff. And I think that prepares you for what's next after you graduate college. It's like, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to work hard and I'm going to be ready to get after it. And what happens, happens. And yes, I think if I do it right and I work hard enough, I'm going to be a success. I'm going to do it. And it's the same thing. And, football leads to that of how hard do you work? And can you handle the hard things, the things that come sideways at you? And you're like, man, that's not right. Well, okay. What now? And, I think some of that is a little bit like the E+R=O stuff and other things like, the response is up to you. But that has to be dealt with in how did you prepare? And football's a great training ground for that. It's not the rest of your life, it's football. And some of those days, well, some of them when you're playing, they'll feel like the rest.
Feel
of
like
your
it's
life.
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
No
Whether
doubt.
it's a win,
And
lose,
inside drills that I
Am
thought
I
were
ever
the
getting
end
out
my
of this practice? Is this
No
practice
doubt.
ever going to end?
Yeah, and you think it is, but then when you move on, you're like, it's something like I think in coming back to Catholic and having guys that I played with come to the alumni days and the other people, and they'll be like the stuff they bring up is not, oh, we beat such and such team. It's more along the lines, hey, do you remember the bus trip to go play Iona? And then you're like, oh my gosh, we couldn't eat, we didn't, whatever, stuff like that. But at the same time, it always goes back to how did we prepare? How did we work? And I think that fits what you should learn for the rest of your life. And you know what? You can lose a game even when you played well and something goes wrong and you're like, man, that was not right. And that's just preparing you for what's next. And it's the same thing, I think, preparing you for what can go on in your life if you practice right and you work hard and you put yourself second and the team first and you're part of this, 100 and some guys busting their tails to get out there and get for it. And all of a sudden you look and you're like, yeah, this is it. That was what helped me do it, which ties to, rest of your life when you go to work, what that job is like. Who are you in charge of? Who are you? Are you making yourself work hard enough to do okay for your family? And, and are you able to handle those things that they're not on the list, And for me, it has really come to the forefront in the last year for me, and goes back to last summer. I had a little seizure in the summer, and my wife took me to the hospital, and the doctors took a look and they found I had brain cancer, and it was an up and down situation, but I made it to 7 games last year. I had to miss 3 after they removed the tumor from in my head, and I've had people be like, Coach, we can't believe, like, the game that I showed up to was the second game after I'd had the surgery to move it. And I had, I think it was 54 staples in the side of my head around the scar. And I'm at the game. Now, I'm kind of, my OC and DC were calling the plays a lot. I had the sheet with me, but I was there, and it was, I think 15 or 16 days since my surgery. And I'm out there on the field with the guys, and people are like, Coach, how can you do this? And I said, because like this is what I love. This is where I am. And even my wife was like, go on, get out there, and she knew what it would take. And it was an incredible experience to be prepared for, to use what taught me about the hard work, getting ready for the rest of your life, to actually have a curveball in my head, and here I am post-surgery out there on the field. Now, I still have a lot to work on, and it's not easy, and it's a little goofy sometimes, but my staff has been behind it. These players, the guys who just graduated, were something else, It was one of those, it taught me that I think they had grown a lot. I would, I'd come see them on game days. I'm getting ready, we're preparing, and I'd be like, hey, you ready to run, this inside play? And they'd be like, Coach, how you doing? And one of the guys came to me and said, Coach, we're saying the rosary for you. And I was like, oh man, am I going to cry pregame? I'd rather cry after the win for these guys. But I mean, it was that's where I was like, this football thing can do okay. It can be all right.
It's amazing, Coach. I say this all the time, and with even my own experience, and certainly none like yours. One, thank you for sharing that. And but for those people, yourself, myself, for at least 28 years, it was a career. I can't say it still is, but for those that truly are in it, and in it for the right reasons, because of the life lessons, it's not. People get, well, you chose to coach football. Well, yeah, but I got to tell you, football chose me, man. I got lucky, and I mean that. Like, I got lucky with every one of my coaching stops, with the people I've met, even since, because of football, meeting guys like Joe, and shoot, whether I was at Maryland and you were at Catholic U, and we never met when we were that close, and here we are talking. Like, football chooses us, and it's because exactly what you said, in my opinion. It is just a microcosm of what life is, right? It's just, and that's why it's so easy for us to have an opinion on some of these things and live with those opinions. That why is the transfer portal a flag? Well, dang it, because we're not teaching them adversity anymore and overcoming adversity. And and we can find all those little things, and it's awesome because I'm not sure, and I can't speak to it other than to say I'm not sure that other sports, without the definition of the roles that the roles that you have in football, with really 33 different positions on the team at any one time with 11 guys on the field, I'm not sure that any other sport can teach you the same thing. I'm sure it can, but maybe not as directly as I think football does. And it's just such a unique and awesome sport.
Yeah, and football, it's really the last sport to be at this level. And listen, there's great sports out there that are group sports and this that,
Sure,
but,
yeah.
but they don't have to fight to get their roster down to 110 guys, and we're going to travel less than that. And some of the guys that don't travel, well, they'd love to go in this that, but they, what they want? They want to see their position help win the game. And
Right.
and the guys that are on the field, I sometimes I don't like tying this to it, but I will. It's not unlike the military guy who's like going to go try and execute because he wants to support the unit and the guy next to him and the guy to his left and right. And football's the same thing. Why does my left guard sometimes play with an ankle that really just came back, and I know it's going to hurt like hell and probably swell on Saturday anyway, and he's out there running on it, and the trainer says, yeah, it's okay, we can work it, okay, medically it's okay, but I can see what he's been through, and I'm like, why is he going so hard? Because he knows like what he's delivering for these other people. And what sport teaches you that the same way? I don't know of other, and who knows, I could be biased. There could be some great
Well,
sports.
I think
We're allowed to be biased on this show, Coach.
That's right.
This is a football show, right? We're allowed to be biased. Number one, we're supposed to be, right? Coach, thank you for sharing that story. Of course, you and I have had conversations over the time, and
Yep.
Watching you coach, seeing you do what you do, seeing the effect you have on those boys, the program, the culture that you have, for the time we've known each other over 30 years, you're a gift. You're a gift to that school. You're a gift to those kids and to the sport completely. And to the point you're talking about, for me, like the other thing I really like to say is sacrifice for others.
Right.
Overcoming adversity, yes. Football, check. We should have that, John. We should bring in a baseball guy and a basketball guy and a soccer guy, and let's have a debate over which sport does a better job of teaching overcoming adversity and sacrifice for others, right? Because that's the other thing about, Coach, you were talking about, the offensive lineman's got a bad wheel, and we've talked about this in the past. Offensive line is the one position that's whole job is to sacrifice yourself for everybody else on the field. Right? I just think, we're super biased here. We don't hide it.
Yeah. And, I'm going to add this to it, too. And Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can schedule 10 games in Division III football, correct?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So name another sport. Imagine anything else in life where you prepare 355 days for 10 opportunities to showcase, right? Take it a little further, okay? Say that you're a good, not a great, a good player in Division III football. You probably start for 2.5 years, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about preparing 1,400 days for 25 opportunities.
Wow. Yeah.
And that as a human being, who would ever choose that?
Yeah. And break that down. Break that down even further, John. 25 opportunities, and you're going to play one side of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like so the number of plays.
It's a 60-minute game, right? So you're going to play
no
23 minutes,
oh,
23 to 28 minutes.
So if you really want me to break it down with 6 play seconds, I can tell you what the actual amount of time that you're playing on the field is. But my whole point is that whole concept of sacrifice, find it anywhere else. I would challenge. I'm sure there is some, but holy cow.
It's incredible. Like just a few years ago. I won't say his name here, but he was a junior my first year. Then after his senior year, he still didn't play, but he hung around and worked his tail off and practiced and was always working on the scout team and doing everything. When he was done, he graduated and went into the Marine Corps and was an incredible Marine. Like, I mean, these are guys that, listen, would he have been an incredible Marine if he hadn't done that? I don't know. But I could tell you this, when I saw him go out there and get the scout team ready and give a great look, and he was a senior, but he wasn't going to be on the bus to travel and play, down at Randolph-Macon, that I knew this guy was prepped. And how? Because I watched him bust his tail, even though he wasn't going to get the gravy of a Saturday game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
John.
doubt.
So yeah, talk about the guys who do all that preparation and never touch the field.
No doubt.
Right? Like,
No doubt. And
So-
it's hard. I mean, I was explaining to a friend of mine this weekend. She said, I don't understand how the coaching is all consuming for everything people do. And I said, and literally that was the only explanation I could come up with. I said, like, even in Division I where I was, and when I was consumed by it, maybe I still am, but when I was consumed by it, it's 353 days of preparation for 12 opportunities. And
Yep.
And the reality is, as a coach, you've got so little control over the outcome that it can't be about the outcome. It's got to be about the preparation. And so that's the consuming part.
so one more question on this. Who was the quarterback at UCLA 7-8 years ago who was complaining about how hard it is to be a UCLA quarterback, a Division I quarterback? Do you recall that kid? I can't recall his name.
I can't remember his name.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I think I was in California at the time, and UCLA had a quarterback. He was really good. I forget his name. He got drafted, all that kind of good stuff. And he was at one point he was complaining about how hard it is to be a Division I quarterback, and the schoolwork and the pressure to watch game film and practice and prep and coaching and meetings. And I said to myself, if you think it's hard to be a Division I quarterback, you should try being a Division III quarterback. Because it's all the same academics. You're not, there's no money on the table, right? You're doing it because you love the sport. Last shout out, I'll say, I love hiring Division III athletes. Love them because and this is nothing against Division I or II athletes. I don't have anything against them. I haven't had the chance to hire any of them, quite frankly. But Division III athletes work their butts off. Now, I'm biased. Again, I was a Division III athlete. They're doing it for the love of the game or the love of the sport, whatever sport they play. All right, John, you better throw a flag on this or shut this down because
I'm just gonna follow up on your statement because I do believe, if I'm right, you were talking about Josh Rosen and his complaint. He was the big complaint. I believe this was not complaint. The frustration that he aired, maybe complaint, was that football and school don't go together. That it just takes so much time to be a really good Division I football player to win games in Division I that there's no way you can possibly go to school. Albeit there's a lot of players in the history of college football that have done that. So
millions.
I mean, arguably, yeah. So, anyway.
So my statement still stands, though. If he thinks it's hard to be a student athlete at a Division I school, he should try doing a Division III, especially now. Because the Division III back in the dark ages when we played, coach, completely different than what it is now. I mean, the talent level is different now between Division III and Division I for sure, like it was back then. But the rigor, the routine, the year-round schedule, like the program you run compared to the program that we played for in different time is very, very different. Right? The commitment that you have year-round now is much different than when we played.
Yeah. And as a coach, I'm happy that it's changed. But
as a player back then, you wouldn't have been.
No, it was great. Yeah.
Coach, there's no easy way to do it. It doesn't matter what level you're at, and I mean that sincerely. There's no easy way. So, with that, I guess let me wrap and say that Coach Gutman, we really appreciate you taking the time and joining us, sharing not just time but your story and what that means and what that can do to inspire players, coaches, parents, any of those listeners out there. And So we thank you for your thoughts on that. Our goal here with the National Football Alliance is always, as we say, to honor, improve, and advance the game. And hopefully we're doing that on a weekly basis. I know we did tonight because we had you on the show. I don't know if Joe and I did anything to do that, but we had you on the show. So I will say that's a wrap of this edition of the Unscripted Huddle, and thank you for joining us, Coach.
Oh, it was great. Thanks so much for letting me be here.
Thanks, Coach. I love you, brother.
Well, that's it for this week. Let's keep the conversation going to help NFA honor, advance, and improve the game of football. Thanks for listening, and join us next time for another set of downs on the Unscripted Huddle.